Walking down Leura Mall, your eyes are drawn to the heritage gardens of the Ritz. There's a mystique about the Ritz that is truly enchanting and makes you want to know what lies beyond her gates. It might surprise you to know that the Ritz first debuted on the Leura landscape in 1892, when she opened her doors as the Coffee Palace, a 43-room hotel where Sydney-siders would come to stay to enjoy a cup of coffee. In 2019, Pathways Residences acquired the Ritz, with the specific purpose of rejuvenating the property into a residential aged care and wellness precinct. My name is Belinda Barnett and I run community consultation for Pathways New Projects. Today, I want to take you on Pathways' design journey.
Pathways Residences is transforming the Ritz estate into a premium residential aged care facility with 137 rooms, a cafe and wellness centre surrounded by wonderfully preserved heritage gardens. Today, I'll be speaking with urban designer Sunny Ebbleton about the design principles guiding this project.
Sunny, can you tell me what the role is of the urban design consultant in a project such as this?
Belinda, the first step for us was really to enjoy spending some time on the estate, exploring, getting a feel for the place and the grounds and how the buildings and the heritage and the landscape interrelate with the surroundings and the village. The grandeur of the buildings and the landscape and the way that they define the character of the estate was something that we found very striking. It was something that we really wanted to work with. So we used our research, what we learnt from being here on the estate, to inform a set of design principles, urban design principles, that the architect then used to formulate the architectural response that made the most of the estate's character and its unique qualities.
Sunny, how is the heritage significance of the site influencing the design outcome?
Development on this property will be guided by the Conservation Management Plan. On the Ritz estate, heritage encompasses both the buildings and also the landscape. The Conservation Management Plan identifies the elements that need to be retained, that must be retained, that have significant heritage value, and also those that don't have significant value and can be removed. There are essentially 5 buildings on the site. Of these, 2 must be retained for their high heritage value and significance. There's the opportunity to demolish non-heritage buildings to create new development opportunities to the south and southwest of the site. This also means that we can retain the northeastern frontage of the site as landscaped gardens, so we can preserve the grandeur and estate character of the site.
Sunny, shall we go for a walk around the site so you can show me what elements are going to be retained and when new development can go?
Let's have a look around.
So Sunny, when we're talking about the buildings that are going to be retained under the Conservation Management Plan, we're obviously talking about the main building of the Ritz.
The Ritz and the manager's residence will both be retained. With the new build, there won't be any new buildings forward of the manager's residence.
So that means that all of the gardens that we're seeing here in that front northeastern portion of the site, that will all be retained?
That's right, Belinda. The gardens are obviously a very important part of how the buildings are read in their estate context, and they're a really important part of the character. So the intent is to retain the gardens in the northeastern portion of the site.
The main Ritz building will be rejuvenated. This will involve the removal of the unsympathetic extensions that were added in the 1930s. While the main building will be retained, the west wing was found to lack structural integrity, making it unsuitable for restoration. To ensure a cohesive appearance, the west wing will be rebuilt in the style of the original structure.
Sunny, we're standing in front of the manager's residence at the Megalong Street frontage of the property. What would be the intent for this part of the site?
The intent for this part of the site and for this building is to conserve the manager's residence. It is a very important part of the character and the street presence of the site from Megalong Street. The intent is to invite new uses into the building.
The manager's residence is set to house a wellness centre, where residents will be able to exercise in the gym, attend relaxation, yoga and meditation classes, or be pampered in the beauty salon. Although originally constructed as a separate building, the manager's residence will be connected to the newly rebuilt West Wing via an underground walkway. This will provide a level, weather-protected pathway of travel for elderly residents and preserve the visual amenity of the historic building.
Sunny, shall we go and take a look at where the new development can go?
For an aged care facility, it's really important to minimise the level changes throughout the facility for the safety and the convenience of aged care residents. There's not a lot of flat ground on the estate, and where there is flat ground, it's either already built on or can't be built on because we want to preserve a lot of the landscape values of the site. This overgrown tennis court is one of the few areas of the site that has relatively flat ground that can provide an opportunity for new development to be integrated into the site.
So Sunny, where we're standing in this part of the site, these buildings have obviously been built more recently. Under the Conservation Management Plan, what is the intent for these buildings?
Yes, Belinda, these are more recent additions to the site. The buildings under the Conservation Management Plan, they don't have any heritage significance and they can be removed. So we've got the covered walkways, the old laundry, there's some various sheds and other outbuildings. They don't have any heritage significance and they can be removed. The intent is to create the space for new development that can be built in sympathy with the Ritz building.
So Sunny, we're standing in front of the old boiler chimney, the original boiler chimney. It looks a bit of a lone element. It looks like it's the original boiler house that it would have been connected to no longer exists. So we have this chimney just standing on its own as an isolated element. Can you tell me about what is going to happen with this chimney?
That's right, Belinda. The chimney is sitting there without the original boiler house. It's been assessed by structural engineers and it does have significant structural concerns and it poses a significant safety risk. The chimney will need to be demolished. The education cottage wasn't built as a part of the original Ritz Hotel, and it has a limited historic and stylistic connection to the Ritz building itself. The Conservation Management Plan identifies that the cottage doesn't have such significant heritage value to warrant its retention.
A key design principle of the site is to ensure that no new development is higher than the ridgeline of the main Ritz building. While the new buildings have been designed as 3 stories, they will present as 2 stories when viewed from the street and adjoining properties, ensuring they are compatible with the residential context of the neighbourhood. This design outcome recesses the buildings into the ground so that the 3rd floor sits below ground level.
Sunny, we've talked about how new development can be integrated into the estate, but we haven't talked about the fundamentals of parking and vehicular access. And I know from running community consultation that traffic and parking are key areas of community concern and interest. Can you tell me how they're being managed in this project?
Belinda, the driveway that we're standing on has traditionally provided the access to and from the site. It also importantly provides the visual connection between the Leura village and the facility itself and these wonderful heritage buildings. So the intent is to keep that as a primary feature of the site. The intent is to provide a separate access to a basement car park that provides one level of basement parking on Wasco Street, out of sight and below the ground. And that helps to preserve the visual aspects of the grounds and the property itself.
With all vehicular access now off Wasco Street, the main driveway will only be used by emergency vehicles, freeing it up to become the main pedestrian entry to the estate and its beautiful gardens.
We've talked about the Leura Street frontage and we know that that's going to be pretty much preserved with the heritage gardens. And we've touched on the Megalong Street frontage and we know that we're going to be viewing the manager's residence. But we haven't talked about the Wasco Street frontage, so shall we go down there and take a look?
Let's go and have a look.
Sunny, we're standing down at the western frontage of the site, which is Wasco Street. which has a very different feel to the Leura Mall frontage, being a residential street. What design principle have you put into place to manage the interface between the new development and the residences?
Belinda, Wasco Street and Megalong Street are both characterised by this dense garden frontage that's amplified by the steep slope of the site as well. So the intent is to preserve and enhance the garden frontage of this site, and that'll soften any visual effects of new development that occurs beyond that landscape. The other aspect is along Wasco Street. We're proposing quite a generous setback to the buildings, and that allows for that landscape to really grow and flourish. Belinda, we are in Leura, which is known as the Garden Village. So we really see the value in working with that theme.
I hope that you have a greater understanding of Pathways' plans for this extraordinary site, and that you are reassured that the Ritz is in good hands as she prepares for the next phase in her life. When she is transformed into a luxurious residential aged care and wellness precinct, she will take her place in the community as Pathways Leura Village. After 128 years, the Ritz is showing us all that age is no barrier to realising new experiences and opportunities.